Welcome back, everybody, to another Foundational Friday. My name is Antonio Catronio, and I will be taking us on this spooky Halloween journey today. We are going to be going through an upgrade of OmniSci in today's stream. If you haven't joined us in the past for our Foundational Friday streams, what we'd like to do is to take everyone through some foundational concepts of OmniSci, how to use OmniSci, administer OmniSci, build charts, make maps, everything in between. Really try to provide everyone with a little bit of enablement and understanding of what we're capable of accomplishing, and how you can use OmniSci for your own problems and your own use cases. Okay, so today we're going to be running through again the upgrade of OmniSci. If you've joined us in previous streams, you know that we stood up or deployed OmniSci into AWS using one of our Amazon machine images. And so what we're going to do today is take a look at the current instance, and we are going to upgrade that instance to the latest release. And then once we're complete, if everything goes smoothly, that should only take a few minutes. And then we're going to actually jump in and show how to build a couple charts using a horror movie data set that leverages some of the IMDb metrics that are out there. So really excited to be with you all today. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so here we are inside of the instance that we deployed a few weeks back. And I'm sure you all are familiar with this, but as soon as we log into OmniSci, we immediately are presented with all of the dashboards that are available within the default database for that user. So if we come up here to the help, we'll see that if we click down on about OmniSci, or about Immerse in this case, you'll see that we have the core 5.7 release installed on this machine. And what we're going to want to do is upgrade this to 5.8. If you haven't seen our 5.8 release content, I recommend checking that out. You can find that on the blog or in the documentation for the entire patch notes. Yeah, go ahead and check that out. If you haven't upgraded yet, this is a great opportunity to do so. All you need to do, and we'll go through this, is to back up all of your data in OmniSci storage, and because this is Docker deployment using the AMI on AWS, it's gonna be pretty quick to actually go through the overall upgrade. All right, so let's pop over here. Now that you've seen that we're currently running 5.7. Let us open up our terminal here. So this is on the instance itself. So we've SSH'd into that box. And what we're going to do first is actually take a look at all the containers that are running on this box. So let's go ahead. Actually, we'll do this. Container ls. All right. So here we have all of the different Docker images that are part of this deployment. And we have a few different things. You'll see the actual web server itself, which is this OmniSci web. Let me make this a little bit smaller so you can, those are actually on the same line. So we have this OmniSci web, the Jupyter Hub, and the OmniSci DB deployed on this machine. Those are all the defaults when you use the AWS AMI. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to bring this container down, and we're going to go ahead and stop that. So let's grab that instance, or that Docker ID. So this is going to be Docker container stop, and that's just going to be this right here. Okay, let's run a sudo on that. Actually, let me just come back. Okay. Now, once we stop the actual container, we can optionally remove it, because we're going to be bringing, installing a new container with all of the new information on it. So let's go ahead and remove that as well. So I'm actually just going to come up here. Let's go ahead and remove that. All right. So depending on what you've deployed, will sort of change this next component. This is when you would typically go ahead and back up your varlib OmniSci. So this is going to be all of the information that is stored inside of OmniSci storage. I've already gone ahead and I've done that already. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is go ahead and pull the latest release of OmniSci from Docker. So let's go ahead and let's go Docker pull. And because we've deployed the AMI with a GPU variety, obviously we have a few different deployment patterns for OmniSci, GPU, CPU, so on and so forth, free, enterprise. In this case, this is a free deployment, but it is fully featured with GPU. So we're going to go ahead and pull the latest CUDA build for OmniSci. So let's grab OmniSci, and then this is going to be OmniSci EE CUDA. All right. Keep forgetting to. I just need to like keep sudo at the beginning of these each time. All right. So it's going to pull those. And while it does that, the next thing that we're going to be doing is we're actually just going to be running the container. So let me actually pull this over, and this is just going to be one change. Is that this is going to be 5.8 here. So let me actually just run through this. We know that we're using the NVIDIA runtime. The name of the container is we're just going to be running OmniSci. We're going to be leveraging varlib OmniSci. This is the base OmniSci storage or default OmniSci storage path, and here are going to be our ports. These are all the default ports that are going to be leveraged. Okay, so let me actually come over to. Let me go navigate. Where are we right now? Okay, let me clear this up. Let's actually navigate to the path. All right, let me go up one. Let's see. CD var lib OmniSci. All right, let's get into OmniSci storage here. All right, I'm actually going to pull the Docker Compose down. And then we are, I got again with the sudo. Let's pull those down. And then let's spin them up. Hope you all have some great Halloween plans this weekend. We're having a small get-together here at the house. I'm gonna bring the kids trick-or-treating. I'm very excited. It's one of my favorite holidays of the year. All right, so I think we're good on this. Let's go ahead and actually double check that everything is running properly. We go ahead and ls all of our containers again, and you can see that we have our Jupyter Hub, OmniSci Web, and OmniSci DB here. Let's come back over to our instance. Let's refresh this. I'll have to log back in here real quick. All right, and let's go to help again and go to about OmniSci, and you can see that we now have our OmniSci Core 5.8 installed. All right, so that was successful. I always a little nervy when doing those live, but I think that went really well. Now that we have our upgrade complete, I just want to give like a couple qualifications on exactly what we're looking for, and that was just the upgrade path for the AMI or other Docker deployments of OmniSci. So if you have a bare metal install of OmniSci on either CentOS or on Ubuntu, for instance, there's going to be different steps to take to actually get that deployment upgraded. What we're going to do is we're probably going to go through this again on either on a different stream or on some dedicated videos, so that we can show you all how to do that. It's felt like this. Most of our users, I would say a large chunk of our users, deploy via Docker. It's just so simple for to be able to deploy, manage, and maintain OmniSci in that way. So this is one of the more common paths that we see our users take for managing their deployment. So I would highly recommend, if you already have this, either using the AMI or you have your deployment of OmniSci using Docker, to just go ahead and use the steps that we did here today on the stream to upgrade your instance. Always remember to back up your data directories of OmniSci before going ahead with the upgrade. But really, that's the only thing that you're going to need to take care. Now, if you have a more complex or perhaps nuanced environment, obviously this is very bare bones, and this is sort of the default. A lot of the defaults that are available with OmniSci. But if let's say you had some different security or networking concerns with the deployments, that you're taking those things into consideration. We did point to specific ports. If you're using others, go ahead and make sure that you're using all those that apply. All right. So now that we have our instance upgraded, in the spirit of Halloween, wanted to go ahead and create a couple fun charts related to horror movies. So we went and pulled some data on horror movies since the year 1942, I believe, is the first one. It's not every single horror movie, but it's a really nice data set. Shows us a little bit about the horror movies themselves, the director, number of jump scares, the movie rating, and I believe the jumps. They calculated a jump scare rating that we're going to use. Now, on the last couple streams, you've seen us go through some of those base charts. Let me actually come in here real quick. We have. I want to show you this data set itself. So let me actually sample some of these rows so you can see it. So here's some of the data that is inside, and because we just updated, we're bringing everything back into memory. So it's gonna take a second for this first query to run. But while that runs, so on the last couple streams, what we've done is last week we went through how to build geocharts. So we went through point map, geo heat map, line map, and the choropleth or the polygon map. Previous streams we went through going through the big number, the combo chart to a certain degree. I think there's another level of the combo chart that we could probably show you all. The table chart, and I believe there was one other simple chart that we did, perhaps the bar chart. I'll have to go back and take a look. But what we're going to do today is we're going to use this horror movie data set and build a couple interesting charts based on what we have. So let me come back here, and that is still spinning up. So we're gonna let that ride for just a minute. I can actually show you what this data set looks like if I can. Let me pull this up for you real quick. And it's a really simple CSV. It looks just like this. So basically it has this jump scare rating, the movie rating, jump count, director, duration, movie name, in the year that it was released. All right, so that's basically everything that's inside the table right now. All right. I may actually pull this over to a different instance real quick, and we'll run it from here. So let me get our database stood up. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. So what we have, let's go ahead and import this data set. Let's come to import, and let me pull this from here. Horror movie CSV, drag that in. So here we see all of the different columns that we have. I'm actually going to change this movie name to dictionary encoded string as well. Everything else I think looks good. We got a couple floats, small ints. Now this year, I only have the year. If we wanted to give the actual date, we could pick it up as a date time field or a timestamp, for instance. But in this case, we're just going to leave as is with this small int. Now let me go ahead and import that. So you can see it's not that many rows, but we're doing this more for the sake of being able to show these couple charts. All right. So let me actually pull something up real quick. All right. All right. So a couple of the charts that we're going to look at. The first one I want to look at today is actually going to be the bubble chart. This is one of my favorite charts. Has like some elements of the scatter, maybe a little bit more, maybe not for as large a data. But I think for the sake of this data set, this is a really, really great representation of a few different measures that we'd be interested in looking at for the movie. So let's go ahead and pull it onto the bottom. We're going to pick horror movies as our data set. And top to bottom with all of our chart configurations, we're going to point to our data source. Now this dimension is going to be essentially what the primary group by is going to be in this chart. So what is each of the larger bubbles going to be categorized by? So in this case, I want to do this based on the director name. So basically, I want to see which directors in this case have the highest jump scare rating and movie ranking, and then we'll actually change the size of the bubble based on the overall count of jumps that they put into their movies. And if you're not a kind of a more horror movie fan, or you don't have an understanding of what the jump scare count is, it's basically just like those big boos that happen in a movie. Someone comes around a corner, someone comes out from underneath the bed, who knows? But a jump scare is always a fun time in a horror film. So, all right, let's go ahead for our x-axis, where this is going to be our jump scare rating. And I'm actually going to have this as the sum of jump scare rating. And because we're basically using the director as the group by, we're going to have to provide some sort of aggregate for each of these. For the y-axis, we're going to go with the movie ranking, also with the sum, and you see how that immediately changes our visualization. Now, in this case, all of the bubbles are sized the same. Now, you do get a good idea of, just from this visualization, and we're only looking at the top 30 here in this case. There are a number of other directors that are included in the data set. But what we're getting an idea of here is, like, basically, as you move towards the bottom left of the chart, these are going to be the directors that have the lowest sum of movie ranking and the lowest sum of jump scare rating in comparison. Now, some of these things are going to be changed depending on the number of movies they directed, or perhaps like M. Night Shyamalan, maybe there's not as many jump scares themselves. Doesn't mean the movie's not scary. It just is perhaps just a different concept within the film. Now, so what we're going to do here is actually just going to take the average jump count is going to be the size of the bubble. So now you can see that changes, and to the same point that we just made. So M. Night Shyamalan isn't using a ton of jump scares in his films, but there are certainly some scary aspects of his movies. Now, one that I thought was really interesting. I asked a good friend of mine, like, who do you think from this list? And he didn't even have to look. Who from this list had some of the most jump scares with the best quality of films? And he immediately said James Wan, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, those Conjuring films are absolutely terrifying, if I may say so myself. So if we actually add, let's go like up to 50 on this. They're probably going to be more towards that bottom left corner, but I just want to see what this looks like. So if we go to 50, yeah, that does shift some of those over, but does give us the ability to look at these with a little bit more detail. So let's go ahead and give this a name. We'll say movie and jump scare ratings by director. And I'm actually going to change how this looks over here. Give that a space so this is just a little bit more readable. All right, and let's go ahead and save that. And I'm just going to make these large so that you all can see the chart. Just for the sake of this, we did add those extra extra, what was that, maybe 20 other directors. Let me save this. Let's go horror movies. Save that. One other thing I didn't mention here is that you can change the overall bubble size, sort of the kind of the domain of bubble size here. So like if we wanted to go much larger for those bubbles, you can see that basically makes the chart unreadable. But if we go too low, we're going to have some of that same issue where we're not able to tell the difference as much. I'm going to leave the default. It does provide a bit of a recommendation right off the bat for the size, and I think this looks quite nice for the visualization that we were going for. All right, so let's save this. I'm going to add another tab because we're just going to go through a couple more charts while we're here together. So the other one that I wanted to look at was this bar chart real quick. And a couple of the things that I wanted to look at was based on the movie itself. So now we're going to use the movie as the primary dimension in this case. I wanted to look at the average duration of film and average movie ranking. And so we can use each of the measures available to us to do so. So let's go ahead and come here and we'll go horror movies. And the width of this, essentially what you're going to see, the width of the bar on the chart, we want this one to be based on duration. All right, and that's going to be our primary width, and then this is going to be our movie ranking, is what this is going to be here. All right, and our dimension is going to be the movie name. All right, so immediately we get a few different things. Now this is a little bit hard for me at least, to sort of interpret, but what we do have is, and that's primarily because of the color, so we're going to change that here in a minute. But you do have along the right side of each of the bars the average duration, and the reason I say average duration is for this purpose right here. Let me actually come over here to the SQL editor. And let me show you something. Let's go ahead and select. I want to select the director. Let me just do it. I'm going to do this. Select the director, the duration, or actually we'll select the director and the movie name and the year. And the reason, and go from horror movies where movie name equals Halloween. All right. So the reason that I did the average is because there's multiple movies in a lot of cases, because there have been so many great remakes of horror films, that there's I wanted to provide in just one chart a look at the average of all of the films of the same name. So in this case, it's actually going to look at the average duration and movie ranking of all the Halloweens in that case on this list. So I know there are some for Rosemary's Baby, I believe has multiple versions. What's another good one? Evil Dead, for instance, has a number of versions. So I know that those are all here within the data set. All right, so I'm going to make this a little bit easier to at least for me to view, and this actually gives us a little bit better idea. So The color is going to be our average movie ranking. So the more the bluer the row, the lower the ranking, and then the redder the row, the better the ranking. We can actually flip that so that it represents, red as being the more poor rating in terms, and the bluer the better rating in this case. All right, we can always change the number of groups, how we're sorting these, even the way that we're actually providing the measure number formatting. So like if we wanted the actual averages of either of these to be represented in a particular way, whether that be some type of imperial, float, or integer in this case, we can go ahead and change that. I think for the sake of this is pretty clean, and I am going to just give this a name. This is going to be movies by duration and movie ranking. All right, we'll go ahead and save that. Save that here, and pull this over. All right, and there's some pretty cool stuff in here in terms of being able to take a look at each of those different films. All right, so those are just two other charts that I wanted to take a look at today as we explored some of these horror movies. It was the primary purpose of today's stream was going to be to do our upgrade, but I figured because we have Halloween this weekend, why not give everybody a little bit of a horror movie deep dive on some of these charts? So that was really fun. All right. So as always, appreciate you all for joining us today. We are going to be back next Friday with another stream. Look out next week for the topic, and we'll also post some of that on socials. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and get notifications if you'd like, so you can be notified the next time that we're going to be going live with the stream. And if you want to take a look at either this stream or past streams, you can go to OmniSci.com and go to the Resources Center. And you can see all of the content that we have been publishing recently. And lastly, if you want to give any of this a try yourselves, you can go in and download and deploy OmniSci for free, and that's free forever. It's at OmniSci.com, and you'll see right there actually, let's just go there. So if we go to OmniSci.com, you'll see right here, get OmniSci free, right in your front view as soon as you come onto OmniSci.com. All right. Again, thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great Halloween. Peace.